Is this smart man?
Oh, okay, we got sound.
That was correct.
Hi. Hello. Hi. How are y'all doing? It's so great to see you. Welcome to PAX East 2025. A quick 101 on speedrunning for beginners. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, let's go. All right. We are so happy to have you. And of course, I am going to speed run through this panel. There we go. Yes.
New world record.
I am an official world record holder now. Great.
Add
No,
that
but
to the Home
seriously.
Alone.
This is your speedy guide to playing games fast. And we are so excited. The first thing that I want to say before I get into introducing myself is, as you all know, PAX East is hosting a stage here for GDQ. And some of the members on this panel are doing runs. And in fact, Cypherin opened the show. Prez is tomorrow. General Andrews is, Saturday. I keep thinking today is Friday. Yes, Saturday, don't miss it. And Jen is doing Sunday, right? So the reason why I want to bring this up to you all is because, I deeply, deeply trust these people right here. They're going to give you some incredible information about learning how to speedrun if this is something you've never done or want to get into, or if you're seasoned and you just want to refresh all the things that you know. So I am just honored to be here with you all today. So yeah, round of applause for my amazing speakers. So my name is Ash Said Hi, and before I put together this panel, I hadn't really speedrun. Sai actually helped me get my first world record with Home Alone on NES, which was that's your beginner, it's kind of like a game that automatically you will get a speedrun #1 if you do it the way it's supposed to be done. But since I have done this, I actually am on the leaderboard for UN Squadron on Super Nintendo now. So that's me. Please go down the line, introduce yourselves, tell us your pronouns and what you do in the world of speedrunning.
Yeah, I'm Cypherin, he, him. I've been speedrunning probably since 2016, known more so for Sega runs, or at least Sega Genesis in general, but I'm all across the board, done a number of events, including for Games Done Quick. Been on the big stage 4 times, doing Sega games, as well as, I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but yeah, I'm grateful to be here, and I'll pass it to Prez.
Hello, I am the President Noir. I speedrun Super Metroid as well as Super Mario World. I do regular Super Metroid speedruns as well as randomizers, which changes the entire game around and completes it as soon as possible. I've been speedrunning for 2 years now. I've also done events for GDQ, Juneteenth. I'll be doing On Stage Saturday as well, and also for the Juneteenth event coming up in a month. So hopefully you all will enjoy that as well. But there's a wealth of knowledge around me, and I hope that you all get some really good information today.
Mm-hmm. And shout outs to PT for Black in a Flash.
Shout out to Pleasantly Twisted, for sure.
Yeah.
Hello there, my name is Thorman Gander. I am one of the Twitch Black Unity Guild leaders on Twitch, and I am also a former speedrunner of 15 years. I've more so transitioned to doing commentary for speedrunning alternative controller events, and I'm currently a challenge runner who uses alternative controllers to play games in absurd ways like Elden Ring on potatoes. Take it away, fastest feet.
I guess speaking of alternate controls, hi, I'm J-Rock the God. I am the guy who plays games using only his toes. And I have speedrun games like Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil 2 Original. And at one point with Resident Evil 2 Original, I was 3rd in the world against people who used only their hands. So I guess that's, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And then,
That's the Jen.
thank you. I'm General Andrews. I started speedrunning back in 2016. Also he, him. But I started speedrunning back in 2016, Mega Man 2, and I was like, I don't want to do glitches. Like, that's not going to be fun. But speedrunning, you don't actually have to do glitches. You could still decide you want to speedrun a game and just play within the confines of the game and do it quicker. As that happened and time went on, I was having so much fun with it. I was talking to my friends like, hey, do you want to join me on it? So once I started getting more and more into it, I was really excited to start doing co-op speedrunning. And that's one of the most addictive forms of speedrunning for myself. And that's actually how I got into Games Done Quick and did some of the bigger events, was doing co-op speedrunning. So I have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Give them all the applause because they do amazing things. So here's what we're going to talk about today. What is speedrunning terms, hardware and software utilized, how do you choose your first game, developing your speedrunning strategy, speedrunning communities, misconceptions on speedrunning, how to avoid speedrunning burnout. And then if you have any questions, we got a microphone right here, so we'd love to take those. But we got a lot of information to share with you, so let's just jump right in. What is speedrunning, y'all? What is it? Who is considered a speedrunner? And how did you get into speedrunning? So anyone can take it away. Sai, if you want to go.
Sure, I'll go. Have you ever gone against the clock in a game, played Super Mario Brothers, worried about that time was about to run out, or you just went even from point A, point B, just holding down a button to run fast? That already makes you a speedrunner, so. Everybody here is a speedrunner. I'm already assuming it. Can you raise your hand who's done that before at all?
Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay.
Yep. So.
I was just going to say, to add on to that, it's one of those things of like, do you want to play a game fast? Do you want to try and get through the level quicker than you did before? That's speedrunning. There's no timers needed. There's no world records you got to get. It's, oh, you know what? I really hate this level. I'd really like to do it quick so I don't have to deal with it. That's also speedrunning. But it's broad, and I think that's what makes it great, is there's so many ways to define how do you want to approach tackling doing a game fast. Jen said they hate glitches, so they do it all natural. But some people are like, screw it, I'm gonna break the game. Lots of ways to do it.
Building on Ash's world record she got for Home Alone. So for those that don't know the game of Home Alone, the first one for the NES, all you have to do to win the game is not get caught for 30 minutes. That's it.
That's literally
you
it.
survive for 30 minutes. So the world record is completing the game.
Yeah.
Now, there's an easy way to do it because the game actually is kind of hard to even just beat, period. And so what you have to do is you find a spot that you can stand, and the game allows you to kind of glitch into a wall just a smidge. And you stay there and just don't touch it, and you'll go ahead and get yourself a world record. That's why you look at it, there's like hundreds of people tied for that world record, to give you an idea. And that's speedrunning. Just you complete the game or a segment of a game, and it's just timed. That's it.
That's literally how I got into it. And then commentating at different events and stuff. But yeah, thank you for calling that out.
I think if there's running, they get caught up in seeing events like, if you watch an event like GDQ, you're going to see some pretty complex things being done. And I don't want that to be like a deterrent for anybody, like, oh, I can never learn like an hour's worth of glitches, or I can never find all this time to find all these different, ways to get through a game. Literally find a game that you love, find something that you enjoy, something that you enjoy doing a lot, because you're going to be practicing a lot. But the idea really isn't to find yourself atop this massive leaderboard. And there are communities, I promise you, whatever game it is that you want to play, no matter how obscure it is, somebody else really loves that game and they're just waiting to talk to you about it. So find the thing that you love, and you will find a speedrunning community that will help you get faster at it.
Except for Desert Bus. You literally can't
No.
go faster. But
That is true.
But to add on to that, like what you said, that's how I got into speedrunning was back in the day, I just wanted to figure out how to beat Mega Man games quicker. And like Jen, that's where I started with games like Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man X, and saying, how can I get through this quicker and quicker one and see if I can beat my time? And I didn't even realize at the time that was speedrunning. And that continued to develop and develop over time until eventually I started challenge running, because playing games normally was just not fun for me. So I said, screw it, can we do it with a steering wheel? And now I transitioned from speedrunning to challenge running. But, I got into it because I just wanted to see, can I play this quicker? Can I play this differently and add to my enjoyment?
Nice. Jay, do you have anything to share?
All my friends were doing it.
Yep. That's the best answer. That's the best answer. But I think that's the beauty that you're talking about with speedrunning is the communities that are built around the games, right? Like that's what you were highlighting. Especially I love what you said, Prez, like there's somebody out there that loves that super obscure game. Like I freak out when I watch GDQ and I see like somebody else is speeding Lagoon. Oh my God, that's amazing. Actually, somebody just got UN Squadron, the arcade version into SGDQ, and I also freaked out and messaged them immediately. It was like, your terms. But understand, like there's a lot of terms in speedrunning that somebody who's new to it might not understand, like the language that we're speaking. It might sound like a different language to them. So are there any terms here that you can like help define for those who are mystified by these words we use? Anybody jump in?
All right, I'll start with it. So splits, for example, you don't have to ever do this full-on where people have this complicated explanation of every single stage. If you want to just put it where it's just one split, game starts, you hit the button, and then as soon as game's over, you hit the button again to stop the timer. That's good enough for a split. Now, for people who want to get better and better, they want to see where are they making mistakes. So now they're going to truncate it to little segments, and that's where splits come into play. Also, important thing for a lot of people is personal best. Personal best, that's your best time that you have gotten at that point in time. Now, can you improve upon it? Absolutely you can. Now, some people start to get the comparison issue, and that's where people start to kind of get into their own heads with things. But really all that matters is, did you beat your own time? Did you keep it within a time that you felt was consistent? And that feels very successful. And then before I pass off to anybody else, the difference between glitchless, glitch, and bug is that glitchless means you're not trying to break the game. Now, let's talk about breaking the game if you're doing glitches. So once I started doing co-op speedrunning, when you're playing old school games, co-op wasn't really as well done as it is nowadays. So what happens is when you play with multiple players, there's ways that you start breaking the game by just one character dies, and now they go into a balloon, and you're like, oh, they're moving that way. And then you find out that your character dies shortly thereafter, not at the same time because the game knows that's not okay. But now you die maybe a half a second later, and now you're both ballooning. Now you're just moving through the entire level, just ballooning, until that balloon wears out, and you weren't supposed to deal with that scenario, and it was very nice that it happened. Now, bugs, I'm sure somebody else here can kind of get a little bit more detail, but there is a slight difference between glitching and bugs, because usually there is going to be something like a menu you have to do inputs for to go ahead and access that.
Yeah, I can step in and then kind of carry on. So yeah, as a former game tester, like a bug is going to be something that was kind of something that the programmers did not intend, right? Like they programmed the game a certain way, but the bug does not carry the behavior in the way that in which you would intend it. Whereas a glitch is something where the player is intentionally breaking a programming sequence that would normally work, but the way that they're currently doing it allows them then to either do something like go out of bounds, which is a term that I'll talk about in a second, or otherwise manipulating the game to get through it as fast as possible. So that will be the distinction between those two terms. The next term on the list is RNG, which really stands for random number generator, but we use it as a term if basically,
Luck.
yeah.
Yeah, luck.
So a big description of RNG, right? If you've ever played Super Mario World, Mario World 1-1 is going to go the same way every single time. You're going to go through that stage and nothing is going to be different no matter how many times you play that stage. That stage has no RNG versus Super Metroid, for instance, right? If you've ever played or seen that game, the next to last boss is called Ridley, and Ridley is RNG personified because not only does Ridley have like 30 different states that he can do at any given moment, but Ridley's tail actually has a completely different brain, and that brain can do 30 different things that it wants to do at any given time without any circumstances deterring that. So yeah, Ridley is RNG to the max. So, for a speedrunner, RNG is kind of like the worst thing. We don't want RNG because we don't have control over that and we have to react to things, and that makes speedruns a little more difficult, but it also makes it fun.
I'm actually in favor of the RNG. I like that random element. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps new things coming at you. But then to Prez's point, the lack of RNG then brings it down to execution. How well can you just repeat that muscle memory that you have? What's the next one? Did you do
Out of bounds. Nobody did out of bounds.
Out of bounds. So basically, I use the Super Mario Brothers 1 reference as an example. If somehow you could go off the stage, which actually technically you sort of can when you go over the top of the stage and you hit the warp pipes, that's sort of out of bounds, but not in the traditional sense that usually it's going out of bounds outside what the coders intended, and you somehow can glitch to an end point or to another point just to speed up how quickly you progress through the game. So it's out of bounds. Save and load states, those tend to apply with emulators or so. So if you've ever used an emulator and you're like, oh man, this section is driving me crazy, I wish I had something to let me get through it. You might use a state to help you then like reset where you were, a position where you were, and like repeat an area. And then if you fail 10, 100, 1,000 times, just reload the state, and then you can just repeat it again, and it helps people get through. I'll pass it to someone else to do frames.
I was just gonna say real quick, like to add on to save states and load states, for anybody who does any type of speedrunning, they're your best friend. It's the difference between, do I play this game for 10 hours to get to this point, or do I create a save state so that I can just play through this area and only this area? So if you do any type of emulation, or if you've played on the Nintendo Switch with the classics that they have on there through the classic store,
Great
they actually
example.
have built-in memory save states that you can access. And I find that to be a great beginner speedrunning tool to use for people who want to get into retro speedrunning in particular.
Yep. Real quick, I don't want to take this away from you, but I just want to say, listen, I'm 38, so back in my day, we didn't have save and load states. When you died, you just cried for 10 minutes, and then you tried again.
Back in my day.
Back in my
No, please. Now we're gonna start talking about what's actually retro and is we retro, and we just don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Do we get to talk about any percent and tasks? Anybody want to take that off?
I'll take it really quick. So at least the any percent, 100%, low percent, you see, those are different categories that people tend to run the games based off. Any percent, you do everything you can to just get to the goal, get to the finish. 100%, taking Prez's example of Super Metroid, maybe there's a category to collect all the items in the game. You have to beat all the bosses, whereas if you use the any percent route, you might be able to skip a boss and just go straight to the end. Low percent is like you barely have like any missile tanks or E-tanks or something. You're just going right to the end and praying for the best that things work out in your favor.
So it's not so much how little you do in the game, but it's more so minimizing the amount of stuff that you are getting and basically taking the path of most resistance.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yep, and just to add to that, every game and every community is going to have like a different definition of what low percent is for that game. There's no like standardized term for that. Low percent, any percent, and 100% are just kind of the most common categories that you're going to see across games that have leaderboards.
Yes. For equivalence, for any of my survival horror speedrunners, low percent is basically would be like knife only percent.
Yeah.
See, I always thought it was like the fastest. I didn't know it was like you did the least.
Yeah, like
okay.
for Super Metroid, low percent is basically getting 14% of the items. So it's literally the least amount you could do to complete the game without like completely glitching it.
Okay.
Another example, Ninja Gaiden 1, like there's this special move, this spin slash that you have when you jump in the air. Low percent, you can't use that. You just can use your normal attack. You can't use any magic either.
Okay. I'm glad we're recording this because now I'm gonna go back and learn.
Oh, and then really quick, the last one task is a tool-assisted speed run. So I don't know if anybody's seen the Super Mario Brother 3 task that really sort of just blew people's minds. It looked like, wow, this person is playing this so great and stuff, but come to find out they used a bunch of load and save states to give the appearance of somebody just playing it flawlessly or so, and then just replayed the inputs and stuff through some kind of program such as a task and allowed this really bananas type run occur. And tasks since then have blown up to where they have all kinds of tool assisted speed runs today.
Yep.
Also, shout out to TaskBot.
Yes,
TaskBot is so cute. Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for defining all of those terms for us. Now I'm going to go back and watch the VOD and figure out how to improve my run. So hardware and software utilized. Also, I want to call out these really super duper awesome GIFs. Oh, they're not playing as GIFs because it's a BDS.
Oh,
Oh, I had them as animated GIFs.
Yeah,
Oops.
that was that.
Hardware and software utilized for running, recording. What are some things that you all must have when you're doing your run? Anything that calls out to you, like
So when it comes to, what kind of hardware do I need? What kind of software do I need? It can actually be pretty simple when you start, which is getting used to the most important aspect, in my opinion, which is the recording software. You're going to be running something fast, and you want to have that for your records. You're probably going to be looking into a broadcasting software such as OBS or Streamlabs or something of the like that will allow you to simply record the capture of your game. These are usually free, and you can find them online just by typing in broadcasting software or by going to speedrun.com and looking at the resources that people use for this stuff. However, if you're streaming from consoles and you're looking for a way to maybe play something from your PS5 or your Xbox, you might need to look into a capture card, which is a device that you insert into your computer or use externally through your computer. It depends on which one you want to get. But that allows you to capture output from consoles and then capture that to that broadcasting software I mentioned previously. There's also other fantastic software that you can use, such as XSplit, which is that little timer that you usually see in the upper left or right-hand corner. That's usually green and can turn red once the clock is stopped, or if you're low, you're doing poorly in your run, or you're doing good in your run. It'll change different colors. You can customize it. We don't need to go into details on that, but it's very helpful because it allows you to record that time, and you will need that if you're going to submit speedrun so that they know how fast the run actually is. But lastly, you want to also have a place where you put your content. So this is for archival purposes, such as YouTube. You can use Twitch. A lot of people stream the speedruns that they're doing, and then we'll upload them to YouTube to submit those later on speedrun.com or other places. These are all going to be things that you're going to be using, especially if you want to put your name out there and get more into the speedrunning community so that people can not only assist you with helping you better your times, but also helping you to better understand where you may be missing crucial information that other members in the community have discovered.
If I could add just one other thing, speedrunning is very modular, right? And so this can be as involved and as complex as all of the information we're giving you right now as far as hardware and software and all these different things. You can use live split for timing and all this, or speedrunning can be very much as simply as you, your game, and a clock. And that's it. And you just trying to figure out how fast you're going, right? We're all pretty competitive and very into like the thing that we love. And so we have these softwares and, we want to provide all this information, but I also want to make sure that you understand like this is a very low cost entry, right? Like all of the software that we're mentioning is very much free and open source. So it's available to you right now. You can walk out, go on your PC, download it and get started, right? The game's not free, not so much, but everything else you can just get started today, right? Literally, you go, you start, you press this button, it's like, all right. And what I always encourage people to do, and we'll talk about, more, but, just start casually, right? Start casually, like how fast can I go, right? Get faster, and then start this idea of, all right, now I'm going to, implement like ideas and, I'm going to start figuring out blitzes and all that. But literally today, all you really need, clock, game, let's get started.
I love
And
that.
just to add in, another really fantastic software and just thing to utilize is there's a lot of old retro games that you can't really find physically anymore. Emulators are a fantastic way to be able to play these games locally on your PC. We're not going to go into how to acquire games to play
Thank you.
that specific stuff. However, emulators are a perfect way to talk about playing games that may be hard to get or just out of your price range. And these also can integrate with your different softwares in various ways and give you access to things like save states and load states that we talked about earlier, and that will make the game easier to learn in the long run.
Okay.
And I guess real quick, to add to this, so a few of us are actually going to be doing another informative panel on how to get into streaming and broadcasting without breaking the bank, and we have a list if you guys have tried it without costing yourselves any or a whole lot of money. So
The idea is we want everyone to be speedrunning because it's fun and the community is great.
The last piece of hardware, I'm going to butt in here real quick. Get hard drives to record your stuff. I know we all hate buying hard drives, but you will want backups of your stuff so that you can go back and look at your original stuff, and also just so that you can have these archived for you personally.
Awesome, awesome. Such great information. I really love that. So let's imagine, right? You have your computer, all of your low-cost stuff to start your speed run. Maybe you have like NES and you want to start getting into like Mega Man 2, you know? But you're like not sure, like, how do I start? Like, is this the right game for me? How did y'all choose your first game? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you figure out, like, this is the thing that I want to speed run? Jen, I haven't heard a lot from you from that
All
one.
right,
So I
all
want
right.
to start
So
with you on this
let's
one.
jump back into Mega Man 2. Why,
Yeah.
why did I choose Mega Man 2? The reason why is, first off, I'm obsessed with platformers. And there's something about platformers that just speaks to me when it comes to going fast, because a lot of the level designs will set themselves up in a way that feels so rewarding when you're moving through them quickly. However, a lot of the times, the game devs and whatnot, they don't want you to go through it quickly. They want it to be a challenge. They want you to overcome this challenge, so it felt good to do so. Well, for us speedrunners, it feels good to do it, but in our own way. So, like, you might run into a situation where you fight an enemy that was supposed to take, 20 shots, and you're like, wait, if I just jump into him, take some damage, I can run through him now and go to the next screen? Perfect. I didn't like fighting that guy anyways, so on I move. And that's not a glitch. It's just you took damage, you get some iframes, which means you're invulnerable for a little bit, so you don't just get bled all of your health, and therefore you move along. It's like, that's much better. I like that.
We work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. It's like, why not? This is video games. We're supposed to have fun, right?
God darn you, Bomber Joe.
Exactly. So there's enemies that you still want to deal with. So when it came to why I chose that game, it was trying to figure out a game I felt I could complete while I had the clock on. Because I remember when I first started, it was just so overwhelming. I remember being all sweaty and stuff like that, when I was trying to beat the game in 2 hours, and then I finally beat the game in 1:45, and how exciting that was. To the point where I'm like, oh, I only get 31 minutes. That's too slow. Oh my God. But it just, as time goes on, that's where it was. But like, when I came to choosing, it just was trying to figure out something that meant so much to me that I played as a child. And this is the final thing to add on to it. You need to love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
If you are playing the game over and over and over, and let's say you're using save states, so now you're going to listen to a segment of a song in its truncated form over and over and over. If you hate it, long term, it's probably going to burn you out, which we'll cover a little bit later.
Yeah.
I think I add one thing. I know a lot of what we've talked about right now have been like older games like Super Mario and Mega Man and Super Metroid. And I want to just highlight that speedrunning is not limited to retro games. There's a beautiful game that just came out, South of Midnight. Literally within 12 hours of that game releasing, there was an entire community of people speed running that game. So don't think that it's like, oh, if I play like modern games, this is not for me. Literally any video game has a speed running community. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Except for Desert Bus.
That game will never have a community.
Yeah, just to add to the whole, I guess, modern day thing. I think it was Outer Worlds that had came out, and people had just realized, like, hey, I can just literally just go to the end of the game from the start. And I think the devs hadn't like considered that people would do that, and that's how the speedrunning community for Outer Worlds had started. Yeah, it's nice.
I think I'm being called out here because I mentioned Super Mario Brothers 1 at the beginning, and I just revealed my age, I guess. I've been playing games since the ColecoVision, so
We're both old.
yeah. If I can add in there, I tend to look at first games like if I can have a love-hate relationship with, like a game that you love it enough that you're willing to come back to even if it's just grinding your gears. So do that, and I think you'll be off on a good start, as well as, be mindful of your time, like commitments that you might have or so, That's why we have like that bullet that says short run or long run. If you're thinking, oh, let me speed run Final Fantasy, whatever it is, like as my first game, I don't know, you might want to just scale it back just a little bit, so that you, like as Jen talked about, you don't want to burn yourself out. But there's speed runs that are like literally 3 minutes, that kind of thing, just really quick, and you can get right into the hobby.
Yeah.
Now,
Sorry.
oh,
Go ahead.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm going to say find a game you hate, a game that you cannot stand, a game that you would throw in the garbage at the first garbage can you saw down the
Are
street.
you?
Hear me out.
Listen, sorry. You're right.
So if you have a game you hate, you know the levels you hate. You know why you hate it. So you're going to do everything you can to bypass those levels, to not listen to that crappy soundtrack, to not deal with this crappy boss. And you are going to exploit the crap out of that. And I find that, I find in this way that hatred can be a very powerful tool in fueling our drive towards the dark side. But it also is a great way to speedrun games.
True,
Because, like I said, you are finding all the exploits simply so you can get to the end as quick as possible. And you'd be surprised how fast you can learn something that you really don't like. It's like finding a shortcut for folding your laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I thank you for touching on pretty much all the bullet points here. I just want to call out, you know what, y'all? You're probably already a speedrunner, to be honest. Like, if you played a video game, you're probably a speedrunner. And I think that's the most important point is that, I mean, I always thought, like, what, me? Could I really do it? And then I was like, wait, I'm gonna try. And then Sai kept telling me, Ash, you gotta try this, you gotta try that. And I have a real big love for Sega Master System. So we started doing, like Sai was showing me Kung Fu Kid, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But then I tried UN Squadron, and I was like, okay, I can do it. So now here we are.
I was going to say Kung Fu Kid Speedrun 1.
Right? Oh, God, please. Don't put me on the spot yet. When we get back from PAX.
Real quick, one last thing, and don't be afraid to take the softball. The first game I actually considered speedrunning was Super Mario 64, and then I said, hell no. And actually, that's how I went to survival horror right after that. So yeah, don't be afraid to, if you see something and it's just like, it looks difficult, just start with other things, maybe something else in the category, and then eventually you'll just like, okay, maybe I actually can do this, and then you get into those games.
True. Good point. So with that, right, because you're talking about, like, what can I actually do? That's important for developing your strategy. So let's talk about how you all do that. How, like, for any of the games that you main or that you play a lot, like, how do you develop your strategy for doing that run?
Well, I want to build on what just J-Rock said. So where you take this feeler, this tester to begin with. I wanted to speedrun Earthbound. Very, very long game. So, like, if you're going for the world record in Earthbound, you're somewhere around 4 hours. The world record. So I was like, well, I don't want to do that. So they had other categories that were like training categories or race categories called Boogie Percent, which goes about 30%, 33% into the game. And I was like, I'm going to start there. I did that, loved it, and then decided, nope, I'm not going to go ahead and do that. Right? I'm like, this was fun for this. I don't want to go further than that. So I took that little piece that he just said right there, and that's why I was like, I don't want this. I want to rotate back into other things. And then on top of developing your strategy, there was a couple of ways that I originally went it. I would go and watch people already do the speed run. So I kind of had an idea. Then I was like, well, okay, that takes a lot of time. I'm not even playing the game. So then what I did was I decided, like recently what I've been doing with speedrunning is I just go and play and see what my mistakes are. Because obviously if I'm dying in a game, and that doesn't make you go faster, in most games, that I'm like, if I go deathless at some point or less deaths, that's going to be faster than the time before. And as you start doing that, you start noticing other areas, you're like, oh, I'm not really getting that boss that quickly. And so that's what I've been doing lately. However, when I was doing co-op speedrunning with Sinister One, who's very, very old school when it comes to speedrunning, we do it this way, we practice this, we chart it here. He had a whole spreadsheet and everything we had. It was organizing all the different ways of if we collect this here, it affects this outcome over here. And it's okay, we're gonna do this truncated segment here. We don't just jump into speedrunning when a stream is up. We're gonna practice for an hour before we go live. And it led to us getting a world record in multiple categories for Chippendale Rescue Rangers. But it's not typically how I approach it nowadays. And I wouldn't suggest that either for anybody who's interested in it, unless your brain works like that. If you're someone who's like, I like to chart things, I like to have Excel open while I'm still doing things, and you're almost multitasking while it's going on, then that's another way you could approach it.
If I were to add, I'd say, like, you could take incremental approaches. Let's say you were taking a path, whether it's a 2D game or a 3D game, and you found that you hit a corner and it stopped your movement for a moment. Well, then the next time you play it, try to avoid that corner. Just for example, you've already developed part of your, a new speed tech in a sense, so that you're finding ways to shave off time each time you play, and just incrementally over time. Again, you might find that you're going to die, fall into a pit, avoid that pit. You've now saved time, and so just keep doing that until you get to the end of the game. Rinse and repeat.
I love that.
Yep. I guess if I was at anything, just always remember like the idea is that you are trying to improve, and it's not like there's a multitude of different things. Like again, we talk about like speedrun.com and all these leaderboards and all these different things. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have a time. You're gonna start with that time, and then the idea is, okay, can I beat that time? And every time that you do, celebrate that, right? Be happy with that moment. We're gonna talk about like burnout and stuff like that near the end. But one of the things that happens with people in speedrunning is, and this was kind of touched on earlier, where you start off and maybe it takes you like 4 hours to beat a game, right? And then you're like 3 hours. Oh man, an hour, I cut it off. Then 2 hours, and then eventually you're doing it like 40 minutes. Like, man, I'm so much faster. And then one day you're going to be playing that game, and 40 minutes is going to be like, oh, this is slow. God, this is slow. Like I could do so much better. And it's at that point that you got to step back and realize like you have cut 3 hours and 40 minutes away from where you started. And you should always remember to be proud of that. Like speedrunning is one of these things that like makes you feel so good, but when you get too good at it, it can start to mess with your head and make you feel like, oh, I should be getting better. I should still be finding those moments. And you just have to kind of stick with the idea of, I've learned so much about this video game. I've found so many different things that I didn't know. And that's the true, real joy of speedrunning a video game.
Yeah, take the wins where you can get it.
And just to add on to add something I haven't heard talked about yet is utilize notes like for yourself. Create your own notes. If you know that you have trouble getting through a certain area in a game, write down what you do when you are successful. Also, on top of that, look at what other people have done in that game and try and learn from their YouTube videos. Try and learn from their Twitch VODs, stuff like that, because then you can learn. And the big thing is with speedrunning is that no one speedrun has ever been any one person's success. Speedrunning is a multitude of people bringing a vast amount of information together, of strategies and different ideas to get through this game quick. And so you'll find that a lot of the things that you want to do to go faster in these games has already been done. And if you try and do it, all of it on your own, you're never gonna do it. Like, speedrunning does not develop in a vacuum. It develops as a group community effort. So don't feel bad about using notes. Some of the best people I know in speedrunning, like Eternal Enigma, has notebooks and notebooks of stuff that they use for when they're going through their game. Same with Dr. Doot, another challenge runner. Whenever they go through games, they have notes that they follow, either on pen and paper or notepads or YouTube videos. So take a look. Feel free to use other people's info, because that's why it's out there.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up because it's the perfect segue into our next slide. But no, seriously though, like finding and connecting by like finding your people is really key, I think, because we share strategies. Like when I couched for our night when he ran Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Super Nintendo, he was literally reaching out to some people who developed the strats for that run, and then they would be like, yo, I did this thing, or this thing happens faster if you use this character on this stage, and everybody improves a little bit, and you share it, and then somebody else figures something out. And I think that that's my favorite part of it. But how did y'all find your people through speedrunning? Like, I know, Sai, we talk about like the community races like Black in a Flash, RGL, Best of NES, speedrunning, Speed Gaming, Dream Racers, Sega Crew, and a bunch of the other ones. But you know, how do you find your communities?
I can start. So for me, Super Metroid just happens to be, one, my second favorite game of all time, but also one of the most commonly speedrun games probably in the world. And so there's a gigantic community that's been running this game since 1994, basically. If you've ever heard of the program Discord, and I know if y'all are gamers, probably everybody in here has, most of the speedrunning community exists within Discord servers. So what usually happens is you either find like a wiki or a website where a lot of the speedrun tech and a lot of this information exists, and there's generally going to be a Discord link somewhere within that within that wiki that's going to lead you to that community. And that's pretty much how I got started with Super Metroid. Like, I had been playing the game. I had, like, Super Metroid is one of those games. It has a speedrunning community because the game itself kind of inspires you to do so, right? You get a better ending based off how fast you go through the game. And so by proxy, it already kind of makes you a speedrunner already. But, the people who have been running this game, they literally started with the original console and cartridge, and they have been playing that up and until now. We have things called like practice ROMs, where it has the entire game, but you have all these different things where it has like 100 different segments already broken down, so you don't have to like save a state and say like, all right, I'm going to practice this. They already got this set up for you. Or you can give yourself missiles, or you can go straight to a particular boss that you want to fight. There's just an amazing amount of information and things that are available to help you get into games. The same thing for like The Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. That game has also a practice ROM. So there's a lot of communities, and trust me, people are like, they are chomping at the bit to help you. When I asked my first question in a Discord, I got like 30 different answers within like 2 minutes. Like, people are very, very excited about things that they love. And I'm sure all of you can relate. Like, if I asked you a question about your favorite thing, you could probably come up here and do a panel for an hour on your favorite thing. So, just go out there, search, Google is your friend, Discord is your friend, and just get started. And don't think like, oh, this game has so many different glitches. How am I going to learn all this? Cypher was kind of talk about it, like, take it an incremental approach. Learn one glitch at a time. That's how I did it. I started with, okay, I know this thing. Now I'm going to learn this trick called the Alcatraz escape. Okay, now I'm going to learn this thing called Mock Ball. And before I knew it, my 3-hour run had become an hour and 10 minutes within like 2 days. And it's just about practicing and getting better at what you do.
I'm going to take a slightly different approach to that too. Like, what Prez said, yeah, you can go out there and find all kinds of knowledge articles or things that people come up with, but you too can also be a trailblazer. Mm-hmm. You can set your own path for speedrunning. Heck, you can create your own categories. So, like, if there's a game that's niche enough that you're like, nobody plays this, be the person to create the speedrun for it, and you can build a community around it too.
That's such good advice.
And just to piggyback off of that, I run in a group of alternative controller players, and so if you want to play with something absurd, you can create a category on that. But like, the sky's the limit. If you find like, oh, hey, there's a bread knife in this game and I have to use the bread knife, you can make a category where you only use the bread knife. It's stupidly hilarious ideas that I love like that make speedrunning so interesting. But on top of that, I find that, I know pretty much all of us stream on Twitch, and Twitch for me was a great way to find out more about the speedrunning community. But also in-person events. Like, you have things like GDQ, which I know a lot of us have been to on this stage, and getting a chance to talk with people in person, seeing them play games outside of it and discuss and see why they're passionate about something can really pull you in besides just playing the games quick. It allows you to kind of see behind that curtain and get a chance to talk one-on-one with people. But with me, like, with Twitch streaming, I had a chance to meet a lot of people that I don't think I would have otherwise met. And it's not even just speedrunners. Like, I kind of want to go off in a little bit of a different topic just for a moment. But like, you can be somebody who simply loves a game, and you might find a glitch that completely redefines how the speedrunning community takes on that game. Dark Souls has had this happen several times with Dark Souls original, with Calamite, and a few other areas. And there's just a lot of different things you can find from simply interacting with people who love these games. And that can grow into a much greater community, like the speedrunning community.
Yep. Just to add one quick thing. So Thor brought up a really good point, right? You could end up finding that one thing that nobody ever saw. I mentioned that Super Metroid is my second favorite game, Metal Gear Solid being my favorite game of all time. And it was, I think, 3 years ago. I cannot remember her name, unfortunately. But
Door glitch.
She was playing the game for the first time ever, just casually, just la, this is fun. And she ended up finding a door skip that nobody had found in this game ever. And I'm talking about people play this game every single day, and nobody had found this door glitch. And she was like, oh, that's not That's not how that works. we don't do that. So she completely redefined the speedrunning community just by playing the game casually. So yeah, that's a perfectly valid thing. Like you could find something that nobody else has ever seen just because you have fresh pair of eyes. You're seeing something that people aren't normally.
Amazing.
I was gonna say, to add to that, one of my favorite games outside of like speedrunning is a game called Legend of Legai on the PS1. And while I was playing it, just like a random person had come in and they were just like, hey, if you save here and then make a save over here, like you could like save that instance. And I'm like, you're the world record holder, aren't you? You never know. Even just playing a game casually, like someone may just want to see someone playing that game casually, and then they may drop a piece of knowledge that just may completely intrigue you into getting into speedrunning that game. So.
Yeah.
And Twitch is very much like that. I had a very similar experience with Ocarina of Time with, I think it was a bottle glitch or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that got me into interacting with the people who learn the science behind the game and break these games apart to discover these glitches. And now they're a longtime member of my community on Twitch, and that's a wonderful experience. You just meet people by playing these games who want to show you what they've discovered.
Yeah. Jen, you look like you had something to add.
I want to talk about the dark side that can also happen. Sure. Is that with speedrunning, you're going to run into elitists. You don't need to take on their perspective.
Yeah.
You don't need to accept that they're like, this is the only way it's done. You can't do it any other way. And it's like, but I just did. And I'm almost as fast as what the current world record is. So let me just kind of do my own thing. On top of that, you also run into the situation where there's a lot of complaints on using accessible controllers or accessibility for these things. And a good example is in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 4 community. They were saying, oh no, you can't use a turbo controller. I'm like, a turbo controller is capped. It's got a governor on it. Like humans themselves can spam faster than that. So if anything, like they're at a deterrent, but it allows them to play the game and start to speedrun to have fun. You don't get to say that. As one of the moderators, I'm going to tell you we are not doing that. We are going to allow it to be open. We want more people playing in the game. Yes. So just so you know, if someone comes at you sideways, sidestep. You don't need to deal with that. There's a ton of people, this panel, for example, I'm sure some of you out there in the crowd as well, that are going to be so happy to embrace you and not tell you you have to do it this way. So just keep that in mind in case you run into somebody who gives you some gumption. Don't deal with it. Yeah. You don't need to.
That's such a good point. It's such a perfect point that it's on the next slide.
Just saying.
Wow, what a transition. But no, seriously, let's talk about the misconceptions of speedrunning. And I think, the elitism is a really good point. You don't have to do something a specific way because somebody said, yo, this game can only be speedrun this way. I know because I wrote the book on it. Like, get out of here. We don't do that. We don't gatekeep. But I want to say, I know J-Rock, you had some thoughts on this slide. I'd love to hear them.
First thought, I was like, whoa, those are my feet.
Feet for free?
For free.
If you go to J-Rock's Twitch page and find the clip for this, it is such a good clip. I watched it like 10 times.
It's a great clip.
It's a great clip.
The second thought is is that you have to be better every time you do it. Sometimes your runs are they're not going to improve constantly. It's going to get to a point where you might wall a bit, but you're learning here. You're just like, say like in this speedrun, your Resident Evil, a lot of it is line precision. So you may think like, oh, maybe I was just too tight here or coming around here and getting used to the camera angle switches. And on top of that, as well as you don't have to be competitive with everyone else. You be competitive with yourself as well too, and that ties into not being better every run. Remember, everything is a personal best before it's a world record. It's just that. It's not competition with anyone else. It's just you.
I had a lot of misconceptions about speedrunning before I learned about the community and got into it. And I think one of the things that calls out to me here the most is that, people, you have to be sweaty. You have to be like, this is all that I do, and I can only focus on this and just like be like super, super sweaty about it. But I learned that especially from what y'all are telling me, you could have so much fun and be as silly as you want and take it casually. So I love that.
And I'm glad you said that because that's what I want to build on. One of the things that can be so hard to want to jump into is you hear these people talk about so many technical terms. So let's say you watch Games Done Quick, and you hear the runner or maybe their couch are doing the commentary for it, and they're talking in a language you don't understand. It's English, but you're like, I don't know what the heck they're saying. And it's not just the terms that you heard there, but it's because of how they're describing the game within its own atmosphere. You don't have to be technical about the game. You don't even have to understand the game to speedrun it. Someone will ask me, well, how come that worked? And there's lots of times I can explain why that glitch worked. Other times I'll be like, I don't know. I just do it. And I know it works as long as I do left, right, left, and then up right here, which shouldn't do this, but it does. It works, and it's fine. So there's a misconception that because you do it, you have to be smart at it. You have to display it on this large, grand scale. So with even with Games Done Quick, which we got to do last year for PAX East, I was able to have Ash Said Hi. I was able to have Elbel and 8-Bit on the couch. And what I wanted to okay, so what are all the technical stuff? I'm like, nope. I'll pop in for technical stuff every now and then. You all have a conversation. The cool thing about that was it made it so much more relatable. So yeah, for people who were looking for technical, I was popping in where I needed to. But they were having a conversation which made a lot of other individuals be like, oh, I get it now. I don't really understand Mega Man, but I hear what they're talking about, and that's pretty cool. I like that. And so it's a misconception of feeling like you have to know everything. You can't start because you don't really know anything besides this game looks cool, so don't keep yourselves shuttered in because you're too afraid because of those misconceptions.
It's couch co-op with friends. So
There.
you're just sitting in your living room playing with your friends, and you all are talking about the game.
I kind of also wanted to dive into a point on here about speedrunning being a meal ticket to success. Speedrunning is not going to blow you up, and it's not going to make your career. It's for some people, very rarely it can. But if you're looking for speedrunning to do it to become successful, you're going to burn out very quickly, and you're going to find that there's a lot of work that's put into this, and that it's just unsustainable. If you want to grow, just do what you're already doing. Have fun with what you do, and over time, you'll be able to draw audience, and then improve upon that by putting that out there for a larger community. And maybe you'll have some success there. But speedrunning, you do it because you love it. Don't do it like a lot of things to become famous, because that's unrealistic.
I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit because I know some really good speedrunners who do that. It's their craft. They put a lot into it. That's all. That's well and good. Just so long as it doesn't take a detour down a path where again can lead to burnout or maybe some kind of negative aspects that come in. But if you do have a strong drive and you're like, hey, I might be able to get a world record in this game, then don't let that hold you back. Don't let anything hold you back from it. But yeah, just make sure that it doesn't lead you down either a dark path or it's having any kind of health issues on you, that kind of thing. So.
It's a perfect point that you brought up because it is also on the next slide. How to avoid burnout, because you were talking about health. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing with speedrunning too. It's because you're so focused on your craft, you're so focused on getting better. And as you explained earlier, when you start something, you can shave off hours, but then there'll be a point in time when your gains are diminishing, right? Mm-hmm. And then you could get really hard on yourself, oh man, I can't even shave a second off. But sometimes a second is a lot. So I want to talk to y'all about how to avoid burning out. So I'm going to start with Thor on this one.
So, as somebody who did burn out exceptionally hard, I started with Mega Man games and slowly got into games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring and a lot more. And speedrunning is one of those things where, in a lot of cases, not all your runs are going to be successful. You're going to bang your head against the wall, or you're going to do something that you think is spectacular and then see it shattered the next day by some random person across the world. And that was one of the things that happened to me, where I was speedrunning Dark Souls on a steering wheel. And I thought I had a really great run, was really proud of it, went and put it up, and then the next day, my friend ended up smashing my record by an hour. And I kind of realized at that point, I was starting to have less fun with the game. I was starting to reset my save every time I made a mistake and go back to the very beginning. And I wasn't playing the game because I enjoyed it, but simply because I wanted to go faster. And that made me begin to hate my games that I was playing. And I also realized that I was having way less fun trying to just stream in general. So I took a step back and I found ways to funnel what I knew about speedrunning into challenge running, which has been a lot more fun for me personally and has allowed me to flex my legs and start working with other speedrunners in helping to commentate for them or to share in their victories through things like GDQ's Couch and more. And so I'm still participating in speedrunning, but I'm doing it in a way that is healthy for me and in a way that doesn't cause me to burn out or say, like, why can't I make it past this barrier? Because it's frustrating. You're wanting to go fast. And when you put so much time and effort into it, you want to see results. But the truth is, there's going to be some things you're not going to have results on. And when that happens, it's really important that you take the time to step back and say, why was I running this in the first place? What kind of enjoyment am I looking for this? And what reasons am I doing this for? If you can't answer those three things, then you need to take a step back and maybe put the game on the shelf for a little. And that's fine too. And also, know when to put a game down forever. Like, I do not speedrun Mega Man games anymore because I developed carpal tunnel in my hands playing some of the older GBA Mega Man Zero games because they're very technical. And so for my own health, I'm like, I love this game, but I'm not going to ruin my health for it. And that means both mental and physical.
So you said flexing though, and so flexing is something that's important to me. Anyone can tell that by now, you know.
Wow.
Saying.
Wow.
So
The flex.
the reason why it's so important to me and why I'm bringing it up because he was talking about physical burnout is literally I was speedrunning Contra. And Contra is a game that to beat the bosses faster, you have to mash as incredibly fast as possible. And there's a couple of stages that are a little bit different than that, but most of the bosses you need to just be mashing. Well, you do that. It's a short game, so you do it again. And you do it again. You do it again and again. So 3 hours later, I got to the point where I had to wear compression sleeves so I could even work out, which is another passion of mine. I couldn't do it without pain. Like severe pain because the tendon was raising up off because of the fact of it was just too much repetition. Same idea as carpal tunnel, just too much repetition inflames those muscles, those tendons, and they start to separate. And if you don't give them enough time to heal, well, being speedrunner, so how do you get better? You keep playing consistently over and over again the next day, maybe 2 days later. And so that's why I had to get that game up because as much as I love the game, I couldn't take on the pain. It was too much.
Yeah. And real quick, just see if your game has a randomizer. Sometimes seeing your biggest op stuck in a wall will just give you all the joy you need.
And just real quick, because I know we need to leave time for Q&A, but I want to just make it clear, right? Like, the takeaway, I don't want it to be like, oh, speed running is going to ruin your hands, right? Like, the idea is that you need to take care of your health, and that's not just physical health, but mental health as well, right? Like, and that becomes a thing. That's not even just a speed running thing, just gaming in general, right? Like, remember, you are playing a game, and the intention of a game is for you to have fun. And if at any point it is neither fun or painful, you should stop. You should take a break, and that's really the takeaway you need to take from that. Yep. Take care of yourself, listen to your body, step away when you need to, come back when you can.
Anything to add, Sai, before we move on? No?
I think everybody covered it really well. I don't know.
Oh, they're so amazing. I'm so glad that I have everybody here on stage with me. I mean, what I will say, because the next slide is the question slide, and we talked about that Home Alone run, and that's when I did my Home Alone run. Yeah, Thor's in the background there. I think we do have like 2 minutes, so I'm gonna volunteer my people here on the panel that maybe we could stick around to really answer any questions that you might have. So instead of taking questions now, we'll take a little time and talk about what we do to remind you all and to find where to find your amazing speed runs. But we'll definitely stick around outside to be able to talk to you all if you have any questions about that. But I just want to say, can I get a round of applause for all of us right here? Also, if you're around and you have a 4-day pass, come by and see the speed runs in the GDQ room. As I said, you got some really incredible runners happening and amazing couch commentary. I know it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So, yeah, thank you. My name is Ash Said Hi. I stream on Twitch as Ash Said Hi, and I have a run up on speedrun.com for UN Squadron, and I'm pretty proud of that video. So, yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, go down the line, tell everybody what you do before we head out.
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/Cypherin. I do all kinds of retro and just difficult games. Like I live and love difficulty, so you can find me there.
You can find me Saturday at 4:14 p.m. on the speedrun stage at GDQ if you want to see me play and complete Super Mario World in 15 minutes. If you don't make it to that, then you can find me on Twitch at The President Noir.
I was going to say, I'll be commentating along with Ash for President Noir's run as well, so doubly make sure stop on by. But you can find me at twitch.tv/Thormangander. Look on there, it's a complex name. Don't worry about it, it's fine. But if you want to catch my challenge runs, I'm currently going through Elden Ring on an actual potato.
Wow.
So stop on by.
I go by J-Rock the God on everywhere. You can find me Sunday morning hosting a panel called Create Content, Not Debt, and it's going to teach everybody how to get into content creation without breaking the bank. And back on Twitch, you can catch me dunking my mental health into the depths playing Resident Evil 2 Remake, permadeath, 2x enemy randomizers.
With your feet.
I
Not that much mental health loss.
And then I'll be live on the GDQ stage on Sunday at 1:25 p.m. Doing Mega Man 3. And then you can catch me on Twitch at /General Andrews. And that's where I am on anything, everywhere.
Y'all, you have been an incredible audience. That's our time. Thank you for joining us. And our clock's about to hit 0, so thank you so much, y'all. Y'all are amazing. I'll see you around the con. Please say hi. I love saying hi to people.
Yes, and as mentioned, we will be
There you
outside
go.
taking questions. if
Yeah,
you
we
guys
can
have
answer
any.
questions right outside here.
Yeah, right